Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome to our tips and tricks session, specifically for our AX 2012 customers. This is a first of its kind in terms of a tips and tricks session for you. So while we know that there's some really cool things that you're going to see here from David who'll present, we certainly hope you enjoy the session this afternoon. So before we actually get started, just want to do a couple of little housekeeping things for you. Firstly, if you do have a question, please don't hesitate to ask. And the way you ask is in the drop-down box on your webinar session on the right-hand side there in the little panel. You can just type your question in. Type those in at any time during the session. And at the end of the session today, we will actually ask those questions, and David has volunteered to answer those questions. So I'll be doing the asking and David will be doing the answering. Should we not be able to get to everyone's question, or if there's a specific question that relates to a particular customer instance, then we'll follow that up with you after the session. You are free, of course, to take as many notes as you like. And certainly please do take note of what you see today, but you don't have to remember everything because we will record the session for you today and send you a link to that session on our YouTube channel. So you will be able to re-watch. You'll also be able to share that link with others in your organisation so they can take a look as well. So presenting today, so you're listening to myself at the moment, which is Michael, but the real presenter is David Duke. So David's sitting here beside me ready to go. David's one of our senior AX consultants and is really looking forward to sharing some of his own tips and tricks with you this afternoon. So David, please take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome everyone. So as Michael said, I'm going through some tips and tricks for Microsoft Dynamics AX. A lot of these tips and tricks are relevant to prior versions of AX as well, but there may be some slight differences in terms of how those functions work in earlier versions. But definitely after you've seen the session, take some of these tips away and try them out in your version of AX, but let us know if you've got any questions. I will be going through the session fairly quickly, and I won't be going through in minute detail. I'll just be focusing on some particular tips and tricks that I found have helped me in using AX, and that I think that might be handy for everyone on the call. So first up, I'll start with navigation. And in AX, especially for those who are already using AX, you'll know that there are a number of different ways to navigate through AX. And there isn't necessarily one right way to do it. And I'll just show you some of my preferences. In AX in general, you've got two main ways of navigating. One is using the navigation pane on the left-hand side. My preference is to use the address bar at the top, and to do that on the left hand side of the address bar you've got this drop down here where you can select the company you're going to transact in. Next to that you can select the module that you're going to do your processing in, and I find that when I'm using the address bar up here, they're the only two options I use. What's handy about that is that you could go through in any particular module. Maybe you've gone into General Ledger, you're having a look at the chart of accounts, you open up an account, you go somewhere else. The easiest way to get back to the start is to click the module again. If you use the navigation bar on the left, it can be a little more fiddly than that. Something else you've got up here is these arrows in the top left-hand corner that operate a bit like the forward and back buttons in a browser. Now the handy thing with these is they remember where you've been in AX. So if I go into accounts payable, I look at a list of vendors, I filter this list and I say, show me all the vendors that have got phone numbers, and then I go somewhere else. Have a look at that. And now if I click on the back button, it'll take me back to that same list in AX, filtered the way it was when I first looked at that. So it's just a handy way of getting back to where you started. And of course you can just keep going back to wherever you were. Then within any particular module, say we're looking at vendors. If you've used AX already, you'll know that a lot of the screens start with a list page like this. To do any kind of processing on something that's in a list like this, you've got a couple of options. First, if you just want to look at the details of that particular vendor, you can double click it and it opens it up in view mode. If you know straight away that you want to change something on that vendor, you can click edit. If you want to go through all vendors in a list like that and you want to make changes to a whole range of vendors quickly, then you can use this new option, editing grid, and then make the same change on each vendor. I think a lot of people have used AX 2012 would already know about that option. One other option you've got that a lot of people probably aren't aware of is that, let's say we know that there's been an issue with people processing against vendors that don't have a default, let's see, GST group set up. Now, GST group is buried down here in the tax invoice and delivery fast tab. So if I just want to toggle through all the vendors in my list and see any that either don't have a GST group specified or have got the wrong one specified, just sitting in that screen, I'll just edit. That one's fine. And then I can come down here to these record navigation buttons and I can go to the next one and just toggle through each one and see how they're all set up. And in case you blinked up the top there, you can see which vendor you're looking at any particular time. So just a couple of different ways there to navigate through data in the application. Now let's say you need to do some processing in two different entities, or you need to compare data in one entity against another. A lot of people these days have two monitors. If you've got two monitors and you want to run AX twice, you can. And one way to do that is right down in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll see the code of the company I'm currently in. Now, if you click that, you get the usual option to select a company. And I'll select this other company here and click New Workspace. So now I'm running AX twice, once in company 1 and again in company 2. If I've got two monitors set up, then I can have this on one monitor and that on the other monitor and just do whatever ticking and checking I need to on the screen without having to print out reams of paper. Now, one thing I notice often when I'm on site and people want to show me things on their screen, I'll have a look at their screen and I'll see maybe 5, 10 different windows open down the bottom, and they're going through and they're clicking on all these different windows trying to find where they were. A couple of ways to manage that. One is if you click on this button here, you can easily see a list of all the different windows that you have open within AX. And if you get sick of all of that, the easiest thing to do is click Close All. And it'll close all these windows you have sitting here and take you back to the start. And again, if I want to go back to the menu, the easiest way to do that is to click on the module description. Now, one last area that helps you in navigation that a lot of people don't tend to delve into is this Home module here. And in the Home module, if I go to the area page, now this next item is particularly useful for people who are responsible for doing any kind of approval. So if your organisation has workflow set up, it might be workflow for approving new vendors, or it could be for AP, invoice journals, anything at all. The easiest way for me as an approver to see what is currently assigned to me and pending approval, instead of going all over the system looking for whatever it is I have to approve, if you come to this Home module and then Work Items and then Work Items assigned to me, I'll see everything that is currently awaiting action from me. And in this case I can see that somebody's raised a purchase order and they've assigned that, or it's been assigned to me, and likewise with a requisition. And this way I don't need to worry about which particular entity that purchase order's in, or in fact how I find purchase orders within AX. In here I can see everything from any module in the system that is assigned to me for approval. The next item that's probably useful for people who submit things for approval or for system administrators is this inquiry over on the right-hand side. We've got this workflow history inquiry. So often people wonder why they've submitted something for approval and nothing's happened with it. Coming into this inquiry allows you to see any workflow-related items that you've raised, or if you're the system administrator, see anybody's workflow instances, and you can see if it's pending, which usually means that it's with somebody and waiting for them to approve, or whether it's, say, been cancelled or stopped due to an error. So that's my really quick run through on how to navigate, or some options around navigating through AX. The next thing I wanted to show you is some options you have around personalising AX to suit you better. AX, out of the box, it will generally present everything to you, and sometimes it can present information to you that you don't necessarily need to perform your role. So one option you have is to turn off the things that you don't need to see. So if I look at this purchase order list page, and I've decided that I don't need the navigation pane on the left, I can turn that off. If I never look at the fact boxes on the right, I can turn them off as well. But maybe I want to leave the preview pane there, I can. Likewise, up the top here, I can see, because of my permissions or the roles that I've got, I can see all modules. If there are some modules there that I never go into and it makes it difficult for me to find the ones that I do use, what I can do is jump across here to navigation pane options and turn off the ones that I don't need. And they disappear from this list. So it's just a way of cleaning up what you see in AX to make it a bit easier to find things that you do use. Now, when I get into a screen where I need to do my day-to-day work, another thing that can make it easier is to rearrange the fields that you see in that particular area of the system. So in this case, I'm looking at a purchase order. And when I process purchase orders, I always use procurement categories. Maybe the warehouse, they process purchase orders for items, but I only do it for procurement categories. So what I'm going to do is hide the item number. We don't do budget checks in our organisation, so I'm going to hide that as well. And I know that I always want to enter the procurement category first, so I'm going to drag that to the left there. We never give customers discounts, so I'll get rid of that. And in this way, I can just clean this up so that it gives me only what I need. If at any time I realise that I've hidden something that I do actually need, don't worry, you've still got this option to show any particular item that you've hidden or show all. One other option you've got is to personalise the screen and then share what personalisation you've done with other members of your team. For now, because I think time doesn't really allow, I'll leave that there, but definitely if it's something that, that you're interested in, let us know. Another area of the system that's actually quite handy that a lot of people don't really use too much is alerts. Alerts allow you to set up some rules around being notified when certain events take place in AX. And an example might be if you're the accounts payable manager and you want to be notified any time a vendor is put on hold. And you can use that to obviously speak to whoever it was that put them on hold and get the reason. So to set up an alert, all you need to do is find either the record or the field that you want to set up the alert for. So in this case, I want to be alerted when somebody puts a vendor on hold. I right-click that field and then select Create Alert Rule. It takes me to this screen, and here I can say what it is I want to be alerted for. So I'm setting up the alert on vendor hold, and I can say alert me anytime somebody changes that setting, or alert me anytime it's set to all. So anytime anybody puts any vendor on any kind of hold. Normally when you set up alerts, you want to be alerted when that event takes place for any vendor, but you could, if need be, set it to only alert you for a particular vendor or a particular range of vendors. You can optionally set it to alert you just for a specific period of time. Maybe you only want to set it up because somebody new has joined the organisation and you only want to get alerts for the first couple of weeks while they're on probation. By default, it will alert me because I'm setting up the alert, and then I can opt to get pop-ups within AX and or receive emails anytime that event happens. And that's it. So I click OK, and then at any time I can come back into the Tools menu here, Manage Alerts. This is the one that I just set up, and I can disable it and just leave it sitting there until I decide I need it again. The areas you can use alerts are pretty limitless. You can do it based on changes, people creating data, people deleting things. The other way you can use it is based on dates. So be alerted when a particular date nears. The next area of the system that you can personalize AX a bit is in your user options. And in user options, a couple of handy ones. The first one is the Start Company. So this is where you can set the default company it takes you to every time you log into AX. This is another handy one that is off by default, and that's the filter by grid on by default, so that every list page you go into, you'll get filters up the top of each column. Show attachment status. You can turn that on, and then whenever you scroll through a list of records in the system, it will show you, or it will highlight any that have any kind of document attached to them. And then this next one, Workbook Supports Refresh. I'll turn that on and I'll show you what that is in a moment. And then in status bar, over here on the right hand side, we've got this Show AOS Name. I'd recommend turning that on because it will show you whether you're in live or test. It's a bit of a no-brainer, that one. The last area in options is the notifications, and this is where you control how you're notified for anything related to an alert or workflow. So you can just here set how often you're notified, and the other main ones are how you're notified, whether it's via a pop-up or an email. Now, that option a moment ago I set where we refresh Excel, how that works is that if you export from AX to Excel, so it's going to export that list of vendors to Excel. So I've got American Enterprises there. If I come back in here and edit that vendor and just add incorporated on the end, and then I go back into Excel and then to the Dynamics AX menu and click refresh, without going back into AX, I can refresh the Excel spreadsheet to grab the latest data from AX. That's a really simple example, but you might have pulled the data out of AX, added some extra columns, rearranged things, put in some formula, and you would still be able to refresh and pull the latest data from AX. So the last area I'm going to take you through is reports and inquiries. So in terms of reports, probably everybody who's ever run a report in AX has run it to screen or printed it. When you run it to screen, something that's new in AX 2012 is this option to change your parameters on the fly. So you've run the report to the screen, you can come up to this option section at the top and change, so this is, we can change that to current year versus prior year, and then click run, and then it'll refresh the output of the report based on the new criteria I've set. And then once I've run the report, I can save it to CSV, Excel, PDF, however I need to share it. We've got some other options around how I manage the report. So most people will generally select screen or printer. If you want to save a copy of a report at a particular point in time, you can use this print archive option. If I use the print archive option, I can come back at any time and see each instance of me running that report in the past at any particular date in time, and then have a look at the report as at that point in time. So probably the last thing I'll show you there is still in reports, but if you want to automatically email the report either to yourself or to someone else in the organisation, you can use this email destination, put in the email address, file format, and then use this batch option. And this will allow you to set a recurrence. So you might say that you want the summary trial balance emailed to your boss on the 1st of every month. Once you've set this up, no end date, months, and then the first day of the month, for example, and then OK, and it'll schedule it, and they'll be emailed automatically. Well, I'm getting the wind-up signal, so we might wrap up there, and then if anybody has any specific questions on anything we've covered, we can address those.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, David. That was great going through a few things reasonably quickly there, but you will be able to re-look at that recording once we post that up on our YouTube channel. We did have a couple of questions come through, so we will respond to those individually, just from a timing perspective. So we'll go just to quickly wrap up. We have additional sessions coming up. If you did see something today that you really did like, or you wanted to get a little bit more information from, please reach out to your account manager, and we can organise either a follow-up session with a consultant or some additional training in a particular area. If you're not sure who your account manager is, please don't hesitate to contact Fraser, who was the one who initiated the session for you today. Just a quick advertisement. So this was an AX-specific session for our AX customers today. We do have another 2 sessions scheduled, one in September, one in October. So the first one is on Management Reporter. and the second being a technical tips and tricks session, but don't be worried, it's for non-technical users. So it's a little bit of an extension on today's session, but a bit more of a technical focus, but not specifically for technically only minded users. And the final one there, just want to reference our Office 365 Up Close and Personal session on the 23rd of September. You can already register for that on our events page on our website. So on that, I would like to just wrap up. Thanks again for attending. Thank you, David, for presenting to us today. As you exit the sessions, as you close down your window, you will get a pop-up survey. At that time, you can opt in to be contacted regarding anything that you saw today. Your account manager will get back to you. We also have another question in there just asking you if there's any other specific sessions that you'd like us to show you or you'd like to learn more about in an upcoming webinar session. So please don't hesitate to respond to that as well. So thank you for attending. Don't forget to fill out the survey, and we look forward to presenting to you again in a future session. Bye, everyone.